this is Casper the Boy Diviner here with a quick review of the True Black Tarot. So just to give you a heads up, I would not be flipping through the cards here or walking through the cards one by one. This is a review after a few weeks or months since I got this deck. Alright, the first thing I wanted to talk about quickly is about how the packaging is. The packaging for this deck is absolutely lovely. Sorry about that, I just want to get the Anand card out. I put it at the bottom with the title card because these are cards that I don't use, and I separate them with the little white book or the little black book in this case. Alright, just wanted to show you how lovely this packaging is. You can see this is not foil, this is just embossing, but the embossing is not like the embossing is stamped within, so it's not flat. It's not something that can be easily scratched off, and that's why I like it so much. It is a sturdy box. It's closed magnetically, and then it has beautiful quotes all over inside. It is only in darkness that we see the stars. Beautiful. Alright, I really like the packaging and I really like the styling. The box itself came with a lot of if you're interested, you can look at my birthday haul unboxing video. I unboxed this deck then. Alright, so just want to talk about how good the packaging is. The only downside is it is difficult to take cards out. So because the cards are pretty thick and the box is pretty thick, you can see that there are no card cutouts on the side or anything here. So to take out the deck, I have to pour it all out like that, and putting it back in sometimes can be a bit of a struggle. Alright, that's the only downside of the packaging that I have to mention here. Maybe moving on, I can talk about the cardstock. The cardstock is lovely. Alright, the only downside to the cardstock is that it is really thick. You can see that it is a pretty hefty deck, and because of how thick it is not easy to shuffle or separate sometimes. So right now I'm not having much of a problem. I don't know if it's because so I was just overestimating myself there. Alright, I'm bound to have problems shuffling this deck. Usually I do. So I don't really use these decks for like professional readings because I tend to have a lot of jumpers here. The other thing about this deck is that they have foil stamping. So the difference between the first edition, which is this one, in a way, I don't know if Arthur Wang calls it editions or how he separates them, but there's a second version with the corrected Hierophant spelling. That one doesn't have these spot glosses. This is a spot gloss deck, so it is a bit sticky, and that's why the cards get to stick together. I heard that the other one that he used is actually foil stamped, so it is a transparent foil. And I would imagine, I can't say anything because I don't have that deck. The deck that I have is the one with the misspelled Hierophant. I would assume it's easier just because it might be less sticky. So one of the things with shuffling such a thick deck is that sometimes I have I kind of like stubbed this card onto one another. That's why he has this white. That's why the black gilding or the edging has disappeared. I guess I can fix that with a little black marker, so I should do that sooner or later. Okay, another thing about the cards that I wanted to talk about is that I had this card. You can tell that it was not printed properly. There's a little black line at the top. I know it's difficult because you have to print it so close to the edge, but it's very jarring beside a card that, you know, is clearly printed correctly. What happened was that I emailed Arthur about this, not really expecting a replacement because it's such a minor thing, but he was good, he was great. He sent me a small envelope with a replacement card and a few extras just in case. So really appreciate Arthur's dedication here to his deck. Just a small interesting thing also, I'm not sure what Arthur's Chinese surname is, but it could possibly match mine. Because in Singapore we have different dialects, right? We don't only speak Mandarin. So mine is a Ong, but his is a Wang. But in Chinese they're both Wang, and so I suspect we do have the same Chinese surname, and this makes me feel, a little closer to the creator here. The next thing I want to talk about this deck is the little black book that comes with the deck. This is a lovely little black book. I love it so much. Why? Because for every single entry, the author actually explains the imagery in the card. He goes through in detail his illustration and why it makes sense to him. There are some cards that actually make me confused, but when it comes down to when he explains it, it makes sense. It is a great book, really, because not every creator actually bothers to explain the imagery in the card every single time. And for the True Black Tarot, rest assured you're gonna get a quality book with quality explanations. Maybe a quick example of a deck that doesn't really go into so much detail is this one, the Weird Cat Tarot. I just have it lying around. So, see, a good entry is like this one. But know that, like the cat in the storm, you will make it. He won't be stuck up there forever, so neither will you. This is a good one because it references that. But in some cases, if you see like this one I got a bit, I wasn't really identifying this with the Nine of Swords as much. And down here you see the entry. You may feel like more of the mousy toy than the cat stalking it. I wish there was a mousy toy here or something like that ties the explanation to the imagery, for example. Alright? So I would have to say the True Black Tarot really has a quality book. Everything is quality with this deck, really. In this next part of the review, I want to talk about some of the interesting things about this deck that could be considered an obstacle in a way of learning the deck, apart from some of the more difficult imagery in some of the cards. For example, I think the Seven of Pentacles looks like this, which reminds me of the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles kind of reminds me of something else. So these are small things that you want to keep in mind when reading this deck, to really look at the number and really think about it, because Arthur Wang did model this deck after the RWS, so everything is very similar. Taking a quick look at these cards, let's take a quick look. Right, this is the Ace of Swords, this is the Ace of Swords, and this is the Ace of Wands. You see, immediately I made that mistake, even though I've been using this deck for a while. Why? Because I know in some traditions they say that the sword suit is the fire suit and the wand suit is the air suit. And taking a look at this, you feel like Arthur followed that tradition instead of the commonly accepted sword is the air suit and wands is the fire suit. But if you read his little black book, he does still follow that the Ace of Wands is fire and the Ace of Swords is air. So it kind of feels weird seeing all these airy, fairy feathers, things like that in the swords when they actually are fire. And you will see that in some cases there's the fiery kind of power in the sword suit. So this is something you want to keep in mind as well, that they are different. Okay, they are drawn differently from what the intention is. So Arthur does mean that the swords are air element and the wands are the fire element. Again, this is something you can change. I'm just talking more about the intention of the creator and also how I try to read the deck. So these are some of the things I try to remember. Alright. Most of the cards are lovely except for the confusing ones that especially that one that I showed you, and the Eight of Cups, which is a little octopus. Let me see if I have it handy. Yeah, so this is another one that I also didn't get at first. These are things that you have to read the book to really try to understand. Apart from that, let me talk more about the positives of this deck. There are so many cards that I like, but I want to show you 3. Alright? Oh, I just wanted to also show that Fortune has been changed to Destiny here in this deck. I think this is one of the few renamings that he has. Okay? You see, these are my 3 favorite cards, okay? Lovely cards. The Queen of Wands is always something I look at when I buy a card because I do deeply connect with her. And this one is beautiful. she's holding a rose close to her face against her crown of feathers, even though she is a fiery creature, supposedly, but still very beautiful. I love this imagery. I love most of his they have a spotlight on them. Again, my weakness for anatomical hearts and the Three of Swords. Most people dislike seeing the Three of Swords, but every time I see it, I think about all the pain that I've gone through and how much stronger I am right now, you know. Oh, the color is lovely. It reminds me of the rose quartz that I have on my table. And the last card that I wanted to talk about is the Death card, and I love this because he is standing at a gateway. And the words here are actually Mandarin words, and I think they are from the Tao Te Ching, a book that I always wanted to finish reading, but a translation, by the way. My Mandarin is terrible, but I love it. It says from the Tao Te Ching. Trees and plants in their early growth are soft and brittle, at their death dry and withered. I kind of wish that he played more to his culture throughout the whole deck. I wish I saw more Chinese stuff. I think that's something that we really need. Something more subtle than the Chinese tarot or China tarot. You know, there are so many different kinds of tarot. Bennabelle Wen also tries to fill this void up, but because she's so knowledgeable, her deck has so many influences. I kind of wish, there's just one artistic, aesthetic deck that has that Chinese backbone or the Chinese hints like this one. You see? 温柔电商. I just love this little touch. A callback to his culture. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this review. This deck is definitely worth getting, even though the price tag is quite hefty. I think it's even more worth getting now that he changed the spot gloss to transparent foil. I think that's definitely gonna be a great addition to the deck. I'm gonna shuffle this and do a quick wrap up reading. What do you want to let everyone know? The True Black Tarot. What message do you have for everyone here who has watched this review to the end? What do you want to tell them about how you work with them? How you may wanna, help the world? Usually I'll just turn it for some reversals, like that. This card has been stalking me, so this message may be more for me than anyone else, but this just came up for me yesterday, and I posted it on Instagram. In any case, I think it's telling you that, this deck is one that is not easily grasped by just reading the book or understanding. This deck wants to be known through being used. So if you do buy this deck for aesthetic purposes and you want to keep it as for display, the deck yearns to be used, okay? He doesn't just want to be understood intellectually. This deck is also saying that it's not the best for reading material gains, for if you're looking for like the keys to material success or abundance and things like that, it can do this job, but it's not what it's preferring to do. The deck wants to really help you with more maybe spiritual, maybe more intellectual kind of pursuits, just not really about the practicalities of this world. The deck also talks about how it enjoys working on problems where people don't feel like they can move on. The deck wants to challenge that notion, that perception that you can't just move from a place to another. The deck hates this concept that we feel so trapped sometimes. Okay, I think this is what the deck wants to tell everyone and how it works. So I hope you get this deck. I think this deck is really a worthy buy. Alright, including like shipping and stuff to Singapore. Wow, it's still worth it. Okay, You guys have a great rest of the day. I hope you enjoyed this review. As always, feel free to give me any feedback, like, dislike if you really dislike this review. Just let me know what you think if you do. Yep. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Okay. Take care. Bye.